Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast. The WTRL TTT number 102 on the Watopia's last Waistband for one lap. I'm Nathan Guerra, Dave Towle next to me. Dave, going to be flat and fast today for a solid 28K. Watopia's Waistband is in, a course that brings in everything that is super flat.
Yeah, what can you say? This is the perfect team time trial, actually. This is exactly what I think they should be. Right in between 30 and 40 minutes of racing, very little elevation gain. Let's get down to the sweet science of the team time trialing, which is really that efficiency, moving as a group around today, 28K. So they're going to rip this one today, Nathan, no doubt about it. But the teams that are well drilled in the science of the team time trial will really shine today.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the course here, as you can see, completely flat, leaving from out on the Fuego Flats, actually, where the start line is at, to head on over through all of the desert, on over toward by the mountain, but not onto the mountain, around the volcano a little bit, as well as through a little bit of Ocean Boulevard, pretty much just taking in every section that's completely flat. So definitely pure time trialist course. Today we are in with the frappes for the mixed as well as for the women's side of things. A new thing that is a part of the team time trial coverage that we are doing is that we are featuring very specifically classes each and every week. So be on the lookout for what class is going to be featured. Also, there is a new invite that does go out to those who qualified for the Platinum League, requesting specifically for featured teams within the featured class. So go ahead and make sure to watch those emails if you get an invite to the Platinum League. We've got some awesome features going on, all about the power behind the avatars. Who are these people that are powering these avatars? We'd love to bring in real life, Dave.
I was really excited when you told me who the group that we have today. These women are exceptional characters, and we'll really get to dig in and learn, as you said, their origin story as well. This is going to be an awesome element, and I have to give you credit. Nice graphic package that you've added there. Taking a look at the course, Nathan. I love how hard you're always working, as our teams are too. 102 weeks of team time trialing. It's interesting now how you really look forward to some of these battles. These teams, Thursdays have become the favorite day of the week. It's a very unique, special kind of suffering that you do out here. But Nathan, I'm glad that we focus on the teams because there's something about these pods of people, these groups of people that come together to race that make this so special. The poster competition is a whimsical look at that, but the nitty gritty of it, getting out there and racing, this hurts. These folks dig deep. And we're going to see on a course like today, Nathan, this is why I love it so much, right? If we want to race up Alpe to Zwift, we're going to see 8-minute time differences between squads in the frappes. Today, I'll 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 bet dollars to donuts that we see 5 teams within 30 seconds today. I think it's going to be that close when this one is done and dusted. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this course definitely does lend toward, as you did say, more of a pure time trialist and allowing everyone to shine within that category up against each other. And I think it is going to make for some very, very tight racing. 100% agree with that. Now, you did mention the poster competition. We're going to jump in to the mixed frappe here with Z Scott right off the bat here. But while we do that, let's also highlight our poster competition. Our community is what makes up Zwift Community Live, the live streams, as well as the TTT. And I always love all of the hard work that's put into this. I've actually selected a couple of extra here just to shout out. But Dave, you're going for this look here, Dave, that I'm really
Yeah.
digging. And why don't you speak to this a little bit?
Retro.
And it's always the Dirty Chronicle, man. I'm loving what they do for sure.
Yeah, as I said, I think last week, there's definitely a graphic designer that makes a nice, tidy living doing this kind of stuff because that's just pro what we're looking at. So I think I've chosen Dirty Chronicle a few times. This one, though, really, I would put that up as a poster in my Alp chalet. Uh, so, um, so Nathan, you said you have a couple honorable mentions as well, and I think it speaks to this competition. There's a lot of depth out there, just like in our different categories of racing. This is its own unique category. But so, Dirty Afternoon Delight, you get my chapeau, tip of the cap. Another great job by your team there. Good luck out racing today.
Yeah, and then Martin, in our productions running WTRL in the background, he was picking the Platinum Feast first rule of Platinum League. And TFC Hurricane, don't talk about Platinum
tough.
League. I'm looking. That was
You
a
do. You look
picture
tough.
actually from Iceland when we did the WoW Cyclothon
Oh
that I've
yeah,
been using for my profile pic for a while, actually. So that was me trying to look tough for the WoW Cyclothon, is what that was. So that was a
Nathan
great
did a
race.
race.
Great race.
It's funny. Nathan is more part of the Zwift family than anyone you could imagine, but raced against the Zwift team in a very unique situation in Iceland a few years ago, and it was a really interesting format, team time trial. So it's appropriate to what we're doing here, but in Iceland, and it sounded like an incredible time. So, all
100%.
right. Well, that's
100%.
Nathan.
Loving
Now, was
that.
this your winner or your
No, this
honorable
was
mention?
Martin's winner. This is Martin's winner.
Martin's winner.
This is
Okay,
Martin's
right.
winner. Mine is going to be, they pulled the heartstrings on the Muppets because I grew up with the Muppets. TFC Hawk comes in with welcome to the new commentary team for WTRL TTT 102. And there's me and you. Now, I'm not sure which one is which, but this is going to be
Waldorf and
Stotler. This is going to be
Astoria?
Stotler and Waldorf.
Okay.
Stotler and Waldorf, both named after, and they're the Muppets, both named after hotels in New York City. The Statler Hilton and the Waldorf Astoria. I'm not sure which one I am, though, as far as their names, to be honest. So, but that is who
That's
these
okay.
two are
Yeah.
from the Muppets. Loving this. And this is, I mean, I grew up on the Muppets. So I don't know. I mean, I think I watched, I'm not even sure how many times that I watched each and every one of the movies. Oh my gosh. Like, I grew up on those. And then honorable mention, only because I'm not sure if they knew this or not, but the Dirty Chronicle used Alex Straza from Hearthstone, for those that are gamers out there. as they're not just from Hearthstone. Alex Straza was also from World of Warcraft. So not sure if they actually knew that this image was from that, but this has got to be an honorable mention to the gamers out there from the Data Chronicle. If you're in chat and you know whether or not whoever made this, if you know Advanced Dirt Diggler and Dragons, or if they just pulled the dragon image, because I wouldn't be surprised if the dragon image just came up on a Google search or not, but this is from the World of Warcraft, so I'm absolutely loving that. And that's kind of like we're in World of Warcraft on bikes. That's what's going on here. This is a massive multiplayer online game in which people are actually raiding today up against the TTT. So I absolutely love the organization, and a little bit of a cheeky shout out to the reality of the gaming situation that's going on right now within Watopia. So absolutely loving that. And maybe Alex Straza is Watopia's waistband today, actually, as they have to try and take on this beast of a course.
Yeah, well, let's get down to business here. This squad is flying. I'm going to give a couple details here, Nathan, just kind of lay down how this all works in the world of WTRL, which is the World Tactical Racing League. So I mentioned it's the 102nd consecutive week of racing. We start with 8 riders per team. You don't have to have 8, but obviously that's ideal to load up for bear out there. Now, so over 28K of racing, you'll see teams possibly lose some riders along the way. Typically, a good team will fit. Really important rider is that 4th wheel, because that rider is where you take your time. So on a course like today, a lot of these teams probably will finish with 6, maybe even 7 riders. A few teams will be down to the bare minimum of 4. And if you're really on your game, putting it all together, you'll see teams that use a rider as they go inside the final K. They'll have a rider take a huge pull, and with such a massive capacity for pain, but then maybe get gapped in the last couple 100 meters, but the time won't be taken off them. That's when you're really getting it down to a science out there. So Z-Scott, this is another fun team. They obviously have got a sense of humor. I have come to really love Scottish people, that's for sure. A good bunch of our production crew that we work with for the Premier League racing are Scottish, and it's just a lot of fun to just listen to them converse. And they're take on the world. So this squad, Nathan, is clearly motivated today. We're going to see quick times. It's going to be setting a schedule out here. Now, I've heard you mention the number 50K. Seems like a magic number, 50 kilometers per hour out there. In old money, that's right around 30 miles an hour. As you're going to see riders then, if you're doing it right, you'll see riders today, Nathan, in a pretty quick, sharp rotation there. You hit the front, 30 to 45 seconds, theoretically, unless you are incredibly strong. And I'm talking about a rider who's more than 5% stronger than the rest of your team. You'll see riders start taking extended pulls. And that's the name of the game. We've talked a lot about that. It's not like the strongest rider hits the front and takes the speed up to 60K, because you'll just start gapping riders and blowing the team up. So there's absolutely a practical application of that power at the front end, Nathan. That's really, really the thing that you learn, especially when you race the highest level, as you do. You realize that it's not how good you are, it's how well you're working with the team to use your power to the best benefit.
100%. And as you can see, the tactic, one thing that a lot of people don't realize with the TTT, if you're just jumping in for maybe one of the first times, really does apply, especially with the new algorithm that's out there. Something I wanted to speak to. They recently had an update. It was talked about on the Zwiftcast. It was also talked about on World of Zwift recently. This new AI update within the groups, in order to make a more natural feeling to the group dynamics. And I really noticed it this past week. The week before, I noticed it as well. The week before, I was wondering there may have been a little bit of an update to it, actually, from the first go to the second go, because last week's TTT felt amazing with the group dynamics. The week before, there was a lot of yelling at each other. Now, that just might have been the team trying to figure out what was going on. Not sure, but the tactic, though, of knowing how the group is going to work, how to hang on to a wheel, using your power in order to correctly be in the right spot at the right time, it is so incredibly key. And, the blob dynamic that we used to talk about of just kind of like blobbing up and then taking your pole toward the front.
Like this.
It's kind of disappeared, though, as far as a meta, as far as the overall meta within the tactic, because of how well Zwift has figured out how to really put the avatars where they should be based on power comparisons between the riders. And now you really got to thread the needle between each other, not just for who's on the front, but who's where in the pecking order at each and every moment during the TTT of a team.
Nathan, that was very well put. One of the things that we really learned, remember when the team started showing up with different colored socks or different techniques for identifying themselves? Well, that order and position, and then the reshuffling of that deck that you see with the team, it really, really showed me that we moved into a new level. And you're right, the game is changing out here. There's no doubt that the focus required, I think, Nathan, you tell me your thought on this. The one thing, so people might realize, oh, this is obviously harder than it looks. These athletes, when you see them in real life, as we will today with a very special team, you realize they dig deeper than most people can even imagine, right? All 8 of the riders are doing that. Now, the thing that's crazy is they can't lose focus 15 seconds out. I was out on my tricycle or whatever, big wheel this morning, and I noticed after 30 seconds of not paying attention, all of a sudden I get gapped off of the group. I just lose focus. Well, you can't do that out here. And part of the reason they're able to avoid that is because they're communicating really well. You have to think that Z Scott are all on Discord right now, and making the most of that ability to just stay in contact. And I mean, I've seen this in real life, Nathan. When you have a rider who's struggling, rather than fake it and get up there and bog down a pole, you're so much better off to admit, I'm not coming through. I'm going to sit on for a bit and try to come good, guys. That it's taking that, sure, it's a little bit of an ego hit. Nobody wants to do that, but rather than fake it, you are way better off being honest. And that's where the good teams really move into another level.
Yeah, 100%. Really, really, really having the good communication, the being in a Discord channel, having a DS, and a lot of these teams making the Platinum League. I'm not sure people who are tuning in understand how much they fight for this. And when they do
Yeah.
make the Platinum League, it's a big deal. And staying there, you start getting a lot of organization amongst these teams. That's for sure. And we see these amazing battles amongst this crew week in, week out. So Z Scott, S Jarvie here, as we do see, this is we do have a little bit of background information on some of these riders as well, mainly because of Zwift Power. Stuart Jarvie, great to see him hammering away. Level 33 Zwifter, obviously coming out of Scotland, hammering away, and been sitting in for a little while, wondering, maybe as you were just saying, time to take a little bit of a break as Jay Watt here. This section, of course, very difficult section to stay with it because the reality of the dirt as you pull through there, it does slow the other riders around you down a little bit, and it does act a little bit like a climb where you have to kind of match those around you a little bit more than you would on a regular flat.
Exactly. So this is where you really get that feeling of speed and aerodynamics. I heard a really interesting broadcast with Kevin Bouchard Hall, a podcast talking about how significant of a difference. And Nathan, it made me think of you big time. I think I, even myself, have discounted how much of a difference for your CDA, or basically how aerodynamic you are, the bikes and the wheels make. It's huge when you start looking at side by side comparisons out there. And here's a good look at a team. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky sector here. Only 101 meters of climbing. So basically 300 feet of climbing out here today over the course of what's going to be, well, this is going to be a really quick day out here, no doubt about it, because they don't even feel the climbs. You just press on the pedals a little bit harder as we take a look at a team now just right at the midpoint here. 14.7K into what's going to be a little more than 28K on this one lap. As you said, Nathan, they absolutely looked for the flattest loop that they could find out here today. And I know a lot of the team time trial teams, especially the teams that have been working hard on this craft, they love having an opportunity like this because you get all the adrenaline going. I mean, you are really, really hyped to make it. You might not ever see a faster average speed in all of your time on Zwift than what you put out here today.
Yeah, and you do see a little bit of the organization here. Again, this section may be the most crucial section of the course, being that a lot of time can be gained, kind of like on a climb, through this dirt section. If everybody's able to match that speed of the front runner a little bit more, pull through well, stay organized, especially leaving Ocean Boulevard. There is that little bit of a kick, as well as the kick of leaving the Fuego Flats that you're heading into Titans Grove there. Those are the only real significant points on course where you could have some climbing or have a little bit of that dirt to kind of disrupt things for the speed differentiations as well as the power differentiations. I think how riders handle that today is going to be one of the crucial points as to how they are going to match up against the other teams. Also, going through the volcano, I think that little 2-tier into the volcano, it's going to be another section I think riders need to be watching out for. Then
That's
there is this S turn. I keep on saying there's not too many, but actually, I'm going to eat my words a little bit here because this S turn, though, Dave, it's a 1 to 2% uphill gradient. And I do find through here, anyone who's struggling at this point, you really start not liking your teammates for a couple of
yeah.
minutes if they start pressing it on the front.
This is where a solid team captain makes a huge difference because they should be taking the pull through that point, but controlling the throttle there and paying close attention to what they're doing to their teammates. And it's a razor's edge. There's no doubt about it. So we're in the beautiful world of Watopia where no one has any problems except for trying to flush lactic acid out of their legs because this one is a brute. You're really going to be loading up the legs at this point, Nathan. When you're 21 minutes in, this is where you start to really, really feel it. And this is where champions are made, no doubt about it. You start to really now, this is where you find out what you're made of, right? If you can stay on the grind here, keep your focus, keep these gaps from opening up here. The strongest riders on the team now, they really need to be careful here to not blow the team up, to keep the average speed high. You can see they're sitting right here on a 1% grade, sitting on 42 kilometers per hour. So nice job here. Team basically intact. Little tiny gaps opening up at the back. It's not that ragged, though, is it? This is really solid work here.
Really,
All the
yeah, well,
Norwegians are
well done.
dialed.
It looked, and this is the razor's edge. This is the threading the needle. I mean, it looked right on the edge of blowing apart there, but they kept it in that straight line. Really well done by each of the riders. Now, it does look like they're going to let one rider go, and he probably said, "Look,
But
I'm done. This is it. I don't have anything left in the legs." Good call. 16.9 in. They're about a little over halfway through. They can let a rider go if he's done his work. It's going to hold them up otherwise. So good call by the team. It looks like.
yeah, you know what, Nathan? I think you would really appreciate that last 2 minutes that we saw, right? Because you couldn't ride that any faster as a group than they did. They had to make a quick decision about letting a rider go. They made that decision. They didn't fuss around with that, right? They didn't lose an extra half second wondering or waiting. They stayed on point. This squad is awesome. I'm really happy. And look at this. They're flying right now as they're going to hit this dirt sector here where you do start to, you feel the watts just sinking in. It's like racing on wet carpet.
Yeah, this section
That
through
would not be
here,
fun, would it?
no, and this section is difficult because you hit this 3% downhill gradient and you want to get a super tuck. You want to say, okay, and it's the day that isn't it today the day that the super tuck is supposed to no longer
You're
be
correct, sir.
allowed in real life. So you still get it in Zwift, but not through that section of game because on the downhill, you're not hitting that 57 kilometers per hour, most likely in the dirt, unless you're absolutely flying here. As they head into the flat, we're going to move on to another team here, but great job to this team coming out of Norway. Weiberg here now with, it looks like the Swedish team here. Raw, Edmondson, and Arrow, Sundin, Lind now dropping off as well as Ed Nias. Now, interesting here, they've only got 5 left, so they've really put the hammer down up front, it seems.
About 10K to go as we pick them up. So not ideal, but it's not a dumpster fire either. The Swedish team, Weiberg, we're looking at right now, very well drilled in this discipline here. So Scots, Swedes, Norwegians, we have got a good mix going on out here. And you can see the time, 23:52 right now, 18K in. So, yeah, this is going to be right on the fast schedule that we were looking for out here today.
Taking a quick look at the course where these riders are at in the lower left-hand corner here, and it does look like it's for where everybody is at over that halfway hump right out of Titans Grove, leaving the section through Ocean Boulevard. These riders right now are right where the blue marker is at, heading on over toward the volcano. So about 2/3 of the way through this race for them, as they are about to head toward the two-tier. One of the more difficult sections for those that may be suffering is going to be the right-hand turn. Well, it's about a 180-degree turn up into the two-tier, really a blast into a flatter section, and then a second punch into the
Boy,
volcano. And that section, I've suffered quite a few times through there on the TTT, and it's a section in your head as you go to take it on that this is where you could win or lose the race. So you want to give a little bit extra, but you also watch behind you to see whether or not everyone's hanging on to your wheels. You give that little extra punch, and that is the tactic of the Team TT, and having the knowledge as you may be that stronger rider punching through to try and make sure you're getting as much speed as possible, but at the same time not blowing everybody up, having the wherewithal to know what's happening around you. Very, very key. And I think let's go ahead and see how these guys take this on. Is Raw here is pushing a solid 5-4 on the front. Really amazing effort here coming from this Frappe team.
in order to win at this level, this is Platinum League, baby. You have to risk losing, right? If you take a conservative effort here and ride to keep the 5 riders together and not put yourself at risk, you're not going to win. So this is what makes bike racing such a beautiful sport is even if you're strong and your entire team is strong, you still have to take some chances here because you don't know how fast the Norwegians or the Scots are riding out here today, but you do know what your best effort is. And here we go. We are locked and loaded. This is not a drill. This is exactly what Nathan was talking about now. This is where you've got to go all in. You got to be pot committed here, Nathan.
Yeah,
They're
and it
doing
does look like
great. This is
Edmondson
really
here now,
solid.
5-7, 5-1, and not too much. Really keeping things together, as you said. Very solid
Wow.
effort here. And this kind of organization coming
Might
from the
lose
team.
one.
Now, it
You
does
might
look
lose
like,
one.
I think Endero, he was just on the limit. That's just the reality of the situation. There was nothing left in the tank. 4 riders left. That's all you can finish with at this point. They got to keep it all together, but it looks like they're going to do just that. They've burned their matches, and now they've got to finish with the book.
Yeah, no, you're right, Nathan. Look, there's no quarter asked for, and there is no quarter given at this level. So the Swedes here, unfortunately, they're going to lose a rider. That's going to be disappointing because the rest of the way here through the flat sector, it'd be nice to get a little more time out of the wind. Your nose is certainly going to be now exposed quite a bit more out here as we take a look at the soldiers as they continue on here. They've got less than 8K to go. It's put the accelerator down on the floorboard and just leave it there. You really hope your teammates can come through and take their pull here. But Weiberg, Sundin, Ra, and Edmondson, the riders that we're looking at right now, as they dig in, it's going to be quite a ride for them over the next, let's call it 7.5K.
Yeah, absolutely, Hammered. Great job to the Swedish team. Now, as we're going to go ahead and move our way backwards just a little bit. Now, this is a little bit more of a mixed team we're seeing here. This is going to be one of our favorites, the Team Type 1. Absolutely loving this, hammering away here. And Dave, you want to speak to the in game, we do have a couple of the riders that have signified whether or not they are family or themselves diabetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much of what we've learned over the last year, in particular, everybody about health and staying active. Well, these folks know more about it than anyone. Not everybody here. So you see the TT1F. That's a friend of the program, but someone who can really relate to what being a type 1 diabetic, or for that matter, a type 2 diabetic. But in this case, really, we're celebrating those that it wasn't that they sat around for 40 years eating potato chips and ding dongs on their couch. It's genetic. It happens. And by dealing with their diet and exercise, these folks are some of the best role models out there. There's a world tour or a pro continental team that, like you would have seen them in Milan San Remo, riding with 3 riders in the breakaway. It's really, really inspiring is a great word. There's plenty of inspiring folks on Zwift. That's one of the coolest things about our community with Zwift Community Live is you don't have to look too far to find someone who can really show you something that'll motivate you. So that being said, a good number of these folks, but not all of them are diabetics. But Nathan, it is definitely one of these things that makes you say, wow, that's just really, really cool that these folks are taking that kind of responsibility. And these are some damn good athletes as well. For take the whole diabetes thing and throw it aside. Let's take a look at the times that we've got coming in right now as we get to watch Team Type 1 here because Z Scott, the Kelpies, flying out there. Let's see. A 21:12. I'm kind of capturing all this data. Yeah, that's the fastest time that we have seen. 21:12, 2 seconds back of the Ravens. They're a monster team. 21:20. So another second back is the Dirt Time Chasers BC. Look, Nathan, they're really living up to my prediction of this being incredibly close out there.
Yeah, interesting enough to see too that Z Scott, that team that we were looking at first out there. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and jump in with them real quickly. I mean, this is quite the ride from them, and look at how they have kept this all together. Sanderson on the front now. This section, of course, again, one of those false flats as they head uphill. And you know, I've got to speak to the false flat thing. They're doing an amazing job. They were the first to go out, which means they were the lowest seed in qualifications, but yet they had the fastest time at the 16K mark, which is amazing. Yeah. Yes, very amazing job. Yeah. They've really showed up on the day. And I also want to speak to the difficulty of these false flats that you see out here. These sections can be very, very hard if the speeds are high. They're keeping it together. And because they've kept it together on a flatter stage like this may be part of why they're having such a great benefit in their times because they've got so many extra matches to burn, especially on the back end of this race. It's going to pay off for them. It's not just the power numbers. It's also the reality that the riders that are in this group get that much more rest. And on the back end of this race, they have an extra match to burn, and that can make that 1 to 2 second time difference easily with this many riders to the finish.
They're like a peloton at this point, Nathan. And you can see they're bringing the speed up as they get past that false flat there where they did drop down under 40 kilometers per hour, but that's very well put. So this is a unique scenario, but this team is flat out flying. They are in fuego here as they come into their final 3K. Nathan, right now, I mean, this is an absolute juggernaut that we're looking at. You're not going to see but a handful of teams today finishing with the full squad coming through. 29:20 is that time. You can see it's 19 seconds faster than TSZ. And yeah, they are at another level out here. So Kelpies, it's your world. We're just living in it out here today in Watopia. This is going to go down as a very memorable ride from the Z Scott squad.
Yeah, amazing job by the Kelpies here. 29:20. They've got a solid gap here over the TSZ team. That's going to be the Swedish team that we were looking at just a moment ago with Weiberg. They're sitting in a solid third place, actually. The Dirt Time Chasers come through with a 29:13. What is going on here? I think there's just been an update to the data. Excuse me. So with that 1 second difference there now, actually, with the Time Chasers BC, amazing job happening here right now. And wow, we've got quite the race on our hands between this in this final few kilometers now. But 7 seconds. It's going to be up to Z Scott at this point. Let's go ahead and jump in with them as they finish up the race here. We'll watch each of the frappes for the men finish up. Now, I do want to give a shout out here as there'll be a familiar face to the community here and as a lot of our ladies that are featured from Army Cycling. They are warming up in the pens. This is going to be Bexy Dew and the rest of the Army Cycling team. They are on the feature for us out there today. So don't worry, ladies. We are going to be jumping in with the frappe ladies in just a moment. They're still in the warm-ups. Some of them are taking off out on course at this point. But frappe ladies is going to be quite the battle with our Army Cycling feature out there today. Great to see. And it sounds like they've had quite the week of racing already, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have the Royal Army with. I heard, Nathan, the Air Force, the Royal Navy also racing out of the United Kingdom. So that's extremely cool. Great element to add. We're back in with Z Scott here now, and this is it. It's the grand finale. They're coming up quickly on 1K to go. All right. So This is going to be a benchmark time, no doubt about it. Although that data update there was interesting, and it shows you that this one is going to come down to the nitty gritty, the last watt that you can squeeze out here. Going to make a huge difference. This is Jarvie that we're looking at. Boy, Nathan, you're not going to see many teams put together a ride quite like this. Putting on a clinic out here today is Z Scott. Is it going to be enough? Just as I say that, the commentators curse there, a little bit of a gap opening up. You really do. When every tenth of a second matters, this is what you're trying to avoid. This is not a huge misstep. For some teams, this wouldn't even be noteworthy. But for a team that's getting as close as they are to perfection, you just can't let this happen right now.
Up and out of the saddle, full gas into the final 200 kilometers, probably just trying to egg his team on to say, catch my wheel. Time to sprint.
Yeah.
Here we go. 8 watts per kilogram from Haslam, Watt, Bradbury, Synth, Ryder, and Sanderson. And Z Scott finishing up. We'll see if they were able to hold on to that time across the line. We do have the Norwegian team now trying to make their way across. It's going to be the Vikings, Joe Mungadar, I believe. They are a little ways back. They're currently sitting in 6th place, battling it out, it looks like, with Team Type 1. So solid efforts here between them. And TSC, they've got a little bit of gap. So really it's Team Type 1 versus this team, Norwegian team, out here today in the Frappes. I believe Team TSZ Dam Stagare is going to be, and that I've got like a Spanish accent. I'm not sure I've gotten that even close.
That was good.
But,
I felt good about it.
Well, as long as we feel good about it, that seems to be all that matters here on the show. But Jensen and Lodoin, they are making their way to the front for their sprint and trying to hold on up against the reality of Team Type 1 CGMs. So solid efforts all around here between them. That 1 second difference here is getting really interesting between the Ravens and the Dirt Time Chasers. We'll see how that ends up playing out too.
We're going to see a lot of close races out here today. This is like bringing in the airlines, the planes landing at JFK every 30 seconds now. We're going to see another team coming across the line here. This will be close, no doubt about it. Dirt Time Chasers BC with that 29.18. Again, as Nathan said, just 1 second quicker, so that's a wash, to tell you the truth. It's going to be very interesting to see how this one posts up here. Here come the Norwegians as they are galloping. The horse can smell the barn now, and let's see where they stop the clock. I saw the question, Nathan, coming in from Murray Craig about how come they're not on big wheels. If you were out Zwifting today, you would have noticed that I don't know if you had big wheels when you were a kid, if those still existed.
Oh yeah. I did.
Okay.
I did so many like crazy moves on my big wheels that they ended up having holes in the plastic.
Out.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
the wheel got worn out.
Issue.
I'd be up on like 1 foot, like using it as like some sort of like skateboard or something, and then like put my foot in the plastic to make it do a slide out. Like it was those things were awesome, man. Big wheels are where it's at. As we got the SC team coming across now.
If we let your son get his hands on your youngest get his hands on a big wheel, just unbelievable what that kid would do.
Milo would be crazy.
We don't want to
shout
race
out to Milo
wheels,
and Micah. That's for sure. They're out at the BOC trails actually in Arkansas. So doing the downhills, I hear. Yeah. So speaking of doing some awesome mountain biking, we're looking forward to the reality of this summer. I bet you everybody is, just as a little reality of getting out, doing some in real life events a little bit, as well as we got all this awesome Zwift training over this last year. So, but now,
you built up all this fitness. Yeah, you banked all that fitness, right? So I wanted to add, Nathan, the reason they're not racing on big wheels is these athletes work so hard on getting the equipment. It makes such a huge difference, as I was talking about earlier, the bikes. And putting them on big wheels might be good for a chuckle, but I think it does a disservice too. It's sort of like asking Serena Williams to play with a wooden tennis racket. Yeah, it'd be interesting for a minute to see how that old equipment or how weird it would be, but that's not what we do. Let's get to our A game, right? And they take this seriously. So, all joking aside, on April 1st, I think that I'd be surprised to find a team that would vote to use the big wheels. Maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah, so it just has to do with that the big wheels were removed from any of the more serious race events for the day. So just to
Good.
make sure that
Good.
there wasn't any April fooling going on with those who might be frustrated with the change, not just in cosmetics or also in. Because I have a feeling that it might not just be cosmetic, actually.
It
That it
might
might
not be.
be,
Yeah, it was
it might be Zwift original bike or something along those lines that it defaults to. So I'm not positive what bike it defaults to. Don't quote me on that, but it probably is a default bike, one of them that are out there when you are on a big wheel. So the CDA would
it
change,
felt
and
different. It
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
felt different today, and I barely noticed, right? I'm so insensitive to that. If I can tell, anybody can tell. Let's take a
exactly.
look now at a 29:14 with dirt time chasers there, Nathan. So these are the updated times that we're looking at now, and it's a little so that's going to be hard to overcome, to tell you the truth, when you start looking at 7 seconds now. Excuse me, make that 9 seconds separating the Kelpies from the dirt time chasers. That's a big ask. It's close though. I mean, as we were talking about, you can see that the top three teams within 15 seconds of each other.
And here come the cops out on course here. I'm liking the green jersey setup here. These guys are looking really slick with this setup. They were actually one of the top seeds. It was the Garage Pain Chasers, I believe, that were the top seed out here, but they were a little ways back at 29:52. So the Time Chasers really walking away with this one, the fifth seed out there. But it's going to be Garage Pain Chasers versus the cops out here today. The cops trying to turn on the sirens and chase him down. Not sure it's going to be happening though with that 7 second gap at this point. Gonna have to really put the pedal to the metal a little bit.
The Watt cops are outside the pain garage. We're deep into our lingo here. All right. So yeah, 5 riders. That's probably about the mean average out here today. For most teams, won't be down to 4, but they're not going to have too many left. Nathan, I think you hit the crux of the situation with that double hit that you take right at the volcano there, where that's where the teams probably go endure the most.
Yeah, and you have seen a lot of riders, I think, drop off through that section. You do see a lot of riders straggling in, it looks like. So, just because the course is flat doesn't mean that it isn't full gas all the way
Oh,
through,
I think
because
it's
that
harder.
means you don't have any sections where you get to super tuck and rest, really. There's only one section, and even the Titans Grove section that you do get a little bit, it's very deceiving. There isn't many
It,
sections through there that you're able to actually grab a super tuck, because it may hit that downhill, but it isn't so fast. I mean, you maybe get like 2 seconds
well,
through there, you
and
know?
And if you think about this, Nathan, too, if you have an incredibly hard course, and by hard, let's just say with a lot of vertical gain, well, the really strong riders, they never get to empty their tank, right? It comes down to the fourth, the fifth, the sixth rider, and you having to ride at their pace. And that's not as much fun as it is doing this. Absolutely burying it right now. See, that's what I'm talking about, Nathan. This is a team that's at the highest level. Is they're going to lose a rider there in the last 500 meters because that was the fastest way to do it. That was textbook. Perfect job by GPC here. Looking for a good time. They come across the line under, let's call it a 37:23 right now as a rough estimate here, as this is bucket time today, man. I tell you, Nathan, I don't know. If you look at average watts out here today, that's going to be the highest number you're going to see. This is why I love these courses. Staying aerodynamic, staying in a formation, and digging as deep as you can. When you get it right, it is so sweet. And let's take a look here. 36:45. Ooh la la. Third time chasers, BC. That's the gold standard in the Platinum League here today. As Cryogen Ravens are going to come through 13 seconds back with the 36:58. Shows you how close it was today, because the 37:01 will put the Kelpies, great ride by Z Scott, in with the bronze medal. TSD Damsagar in at fourth with, very respectable time today. And they're going to be just 6 seconds quicker than Saturn edition of Z Sun R. 6 going to Team Type 1 CGMs. They put up a good fight. They needed every 10th of a second because they're just in front of Eat Dirt 007 in at 7th. Vikings Jormungandr in at 8th at 101 back, and then two teams This is such a great day. 112 back for riding dirty, and then the Australian Hump Day ride, all for cake. That's your top 10 there for the Frappes. Fun to be with them today.
Yeah, absolutely great job with the mixed teams. Now let's go ahead and jump right on in. Our women's teams are out on course. Now these may update as we go. This is just the initial preliminary. We'll go back to the results, but we do like to make sure that we are showing the results pretty quickly after the race. I know a lot of times people are like, "Hey, what happened? We just watched this race finish. What was the situation?" This is preliminary. We'll get final results at the end of the broadcast here as well. But the ladies, they are out on course. And it is going to be Socks for Watts that were the first ones to take off in the Vienna Frappes for 2 days. So they are out on course, hammered away here at this point. We will have check marks. Again, if just a quick little reminder, we are out on the Watopia's Waistband for the women's race out here today, as well as for the mix. Well, for the entirety of the day, 14 zones in total. So this is the situation that they are taking on. The start is from Fuego Flats, as you can see, through the desert, and then on over to the exit of the Fuego Flats into Titans Grove. But they do not actually take on Titans Grove. They take a left-hand turn on over toward the mountain, then Ocean Boulevard, a little bit of Ocean Boulevard, about half of it. The S turns on over toward the Italian Village, the volcano, and then back through the pier section of Watopia over toward the falls flat into Watopia, into Fuego Flats. So that's the situation for the course, a total of 28K and a lot of falls flats with a little bit of kicks, but Watopia's Waistband, flattest course we got out on Zwift. Well, in Watopia at least. And I believe it is the flattest course in the reality of this virtual world.
Tempest Fugit, maybe? We ever raced on that?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think you're right there. Good job there, Dave. Yeah, that's the turnaround there. If you were to do a full gas with a turnaround TTT, and that's actually what that course was made for. Tempest Fugit was for TTT, so that's a great shout out. But as far as using anything other than just the desert update, I would think this may be the other flattest. I might be wrong
Yeah,
about that though. I
I
may
think
be.
you're right.
Might be wrong. Well, it's a very
Well,
flat
all
course.
right. I l yeah, and to be honest, and you use that term "false flat," which is something that outside of our cycling family, I don't know that your average person really knows that, but if you are out there riding, you know exactly what we're talking about. As again, Socks for Watts here now. It's so cool to see what has happened with this program. Give a special shout out to Claire Good. Nathan, I saw you mentioned in some articles as well this week as Zwift has been working really hard to respect the athletes and understand the sensitivities of what they go through out there. And I thought Claire did a great job of telling her story. So thanks, Claire, for that. Did you read that? Did you happen to see it?
I would
I
have
think
to
it was
go
on
take a
Zwift.
look. I appreciate that. It's Rift Insider. I believe I saw a
Yeah,
mention of it out there,
there
and
was a
Claire does
lot
an
this
amazing
week.
job. And actually, I did read. Thank you so much for the reminder on that. And Claire's story, absolutely awesome. And the one takeaway that I absolutely loved from that was as she went from strength to strength, that the what she the struggle with anorexia slowly just disappeared as she got stronger. There was the body
Yeah,
strength along with the mental and the emotional strength that came. You could feel that coming through the article. It's a great
that's a
article. If
breakthrough
you
moment.
haven't read it, if you
Yeah,
have not read that, it is a great shout out to her for the vulnerability showing and the personalization of that story that she brought to the Zwift community, and something that needs to be spoken about, I think too. And so
amen.
that kind of
And it's
vulnerability
not
and
a women's thing.
transparency. No, it's
Well,
not. It's not. It's
it's an
across the
everybody
board.
thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So
And,
having that
and that being
vulnerability though, that is a present. That's a gift to the entirety of the community, because once you do that, it's snowball effect. And it has an effect
good,
that I think people can relate to, and it can change lives. So shout out to Claire on doing that and sharing the story that this kind of uh, sport can actually empower rather than be a negative that sometimes we do see around people trying to do the watts per kilogram story.
so well said, Nathan. And I so completely agree. Uh, So that being said, that moment when you realize starving yourself and being incredibly light isn't the ticket, it's using that fuel for power. That's when you really start to get wings, and that's a nice time to mention rainbow wings right here. Oxley is the rider that we're looking at. So there's so many tiers to this, and the community element to what you were just speaking on, Nathan, as well. These women on Socks for Watts and men support each other incredibly well. You really have the feeling that they've got each other's backs, and I love that. So let's take a look at what we've got. Challenging little sector here right now. They're about a third of the way in. It is, again, same course as we just saw with the men, 28K here on Watopia's Waistband.
Yeah, and
And
I
they're
want
doing
to
a
give
pretty
a
good job of
shout out
keeping this
to
together here.
this team. And I'm going to take a look here. I believe real quickly, let's look through some of the names. Actually, Davies hammering away up toward the front. 181 beats per minute here. Powers is there as
Wow.
well. Tongeren. I'm loving how this is a very worldwide team. Many nations actually quite a few nations here represented. It
All
does
right.
look like. Go ahead there, Dave.
Can you get the red flag there?
Isle of
That's a
Man. Is
good one.
that the Isle of
Good
Man?
job, Nathan. You get the prize today. Yeah, you're correct.
Well,
Isle of Man.
early on in Zwift racing, there were so many flags that like I got sent a flag poster to put up above my monitor
Smart.
by
Yeah.
one of the longest standing teams. At that time it was Team DZI, and now it is the WBR team, the R3R team actually. But they were one of the longest standing managed teams in Zwift, specifically always around for charities. But they were like, Nathan, you got to get these right. So they mailed me a poster. So I still struggle a little, like for a moment there, I second guessed my memory and was like, oh yeah, I believe that's Isle of Man. One of my favorite sprinters of all time coming from. So
Cav, right?
yep, 100% with Cav there.
Kind of fitting that Isle of Man, which is not that many folks that live there, has those legs kind of almost the closest flag to honor cycling, I'd say. So this is pick events that we're looking at right now. Team has regrouped. I would say maybe just a minor bit of gap situation happening, but they recovered very quickly from that. So they're moving like a unit here. Good work coming up on the midpoint of the course. And here are some splits to look at. So, as we talked about during the men's race, it was very unique that we had a team that started first, meaning they came in as the slowest seed based on their previous week's time. So, pretty rare that you see that team that starts first having the fastest time. It didn't end up being the fastest time for Z Scott, but they still ended up with the top three, if my memory serves me correct. So, that's where you sure some teams will pass out here today, and it gets a little bit mixed up. It reshuffles that deck, but we wait for teams like we just had the Rainbow Wings putting up a 12:27, an 11:42 from Crush Pod, who also do a great job with their posters. Is very, very quick here. Nice job. That stands out, to tell you the truth, Nathan, for Crush Pod. But I'm going to expect to see the Alienettes, the Army Cycling Women, who we are really excited to have with us here today, and BLZR. They're going to be right in that neighborhood. So here we go, folks. Buckle up. This one is always a lot of fun. The Vienna Frappes are our featured category here today, and we are stoked to be able to bring the Royal Army women to life and learn more about the women behind that team. This is Chamber that we're looking at now. I see an Australian flag, a British flag, an American flag there. As the squad rolls through, coming up on their next check.
Yeah, we'll work our way backwards here. Army Cycling, they had a really good seed out there today. So as we work our way back, we definitely want to feature all of the riders as best we possibly can through the whole of the category. But they being the top seed, I believe, coming, BLZR. So that'll be the battle to watch out, I think, between Army Cycling and BLZR. Oh, as well as Innovation Alienettes. They have been a team that have been on my radar the last couple of weeks as well. So I'd be watching out for them. The men's side of their racing team, they were part of our features the last couple of weeks too. So we'll see if they can give a show out here today against those top three coming on in. But, still though, Crush Pod, Evo Comets, don't count any of these lower seeded teams out, because I think this course, as you said, is going to make things very close on the racing. with the nature of how flat it is with just a couple of punchers out there. I'm loving it.
Yeah,
Okay, I got to show this. Oh my gosh. Vexy is absolutely jamming right now to some sort of, I'm not sure, I mean, singing to the, I'm loving this. Like the real life shots coming on in, giving everybody some encouragement. It looked like that's Bexy do. We'll jump in with Army Cycling in just a moment here, but seeing how they are interacting in their pain caves can be so entertaining at times.
Yeah, you would expect that the Army cycling team would have a leg up as far as discipline and organization, which is really one of the hallmarks of team time trialing, to tell you the truth, is understanding what your job is, do your job. And if you're going to do more than your job, you need to communicate that, might be a good way to put it. As we look at a team now, just trying to eke out every extra watt that they can here. This is a tricky sector coming up and out now, again, where you might lose a rider, and that actually could be happening right here. No quarter asked for, no quarter given, as I was saying, and I think, Nathan, that might be a ticket getting punched right there.
This section too, if you lose a wheel here and trying to get back, and it looks like they may be calling at the front, hey, we want these extra matches for the match book here. Cook slowing it down, 4 watts per kilogram. Chamber trying to get back on terms, coming out of the US of A, trying to get back to Taylor's wheel. Not sure what's up's going to do it here. And if she does not get this wheel now, I think the call needs to be made. I'm not the DS, though. 3.2, the heart rate's not there. We're not sure how much suffering's going on. Winchester to the front, pressing on. This is the moment of truth. They did keep it together. And look how they spread out. Taylor is giving. That was very well done. Did you see how they didn't blob up? And they made that line as long as they could to give that wheel. That is such great tactics from WTRL.
It's like the human chain when there's a drowning dog down in the river, right? People are holding hands until they're able to grab the dog and pull it.
I have like the Muppets in my head now, because that was one of our poster competitions when they were all hanging down off of something, like to get the others to crawl up. I think they were like
Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, right.
Well, that probably happens in a million different cartoons.
It probably does. That's a trope that you see. So here we go. When you talk
Winchester,
about,
though, a little bit of a kick here.
Gap. Yeah. So this is where, when you were talking about this at the finish, Nathan, I can understand when we're within a few hundred meters of the line where rider will start to sprint and open up a gap, and it's just sort of every woman for herself at that point. Sometimes that's a technique that riders use to make a statement, saying, let's pick it up here a little bit. It can backfire on you as well. You have to know your team. And sometimes it's just maybe even a little inattention. You're making the watch, you got your head down, you're grinding, you grind a little bit too hard, and all of a sudden, I was able to drop the pacing partner the other day, Nathan, in a moment like that. I haven't felt better about myself in years than dropping the pacing partner.
Is this going to be Glasgow try? I'm going to maybe GTC hammering away here. Evo coming on through. Look at the Comets catching this. Wow, quite the hammer crew. Evo, the Comets, smashing it out here today with this pink kit. Gout, and it's going to be Gilbert, Brisbane, Kirby, Rasmussen to the front. So the Danish rider leading things out here, 164 beats per minute on that nice S-Works with the 858s, colorful wheels. That's some lot of XP there. A lot of drops being spent on this setup. Look at this setup. I mean, it don't get much
exactly the bike
more
I
slick
want.
than this.
Yeah, that's beautiful there. Let's take a look at 11:42, the fastest time from Crush Pod. Evo Comets in at 11:56. So Crush Pod pinning it out here. That's a really, really nice first check for them. It'll be interesting to see how it stacks up here. We're going to be looking to update here in a few minutes, and we'll have a better look at how some other teams are doing at that first check. That first check tells you an awful lot. Sometimes, Nathan, it can be sort of a false positive, right, where you look, but then there's a lot of climbing to come or a sector that's going to really change things. Not here. Only 100 meters of climbing out here on this one lap over 28K. And I think that if you start good, it's more, does your team have the ability to sustain this type of effort? And most of these squads, by the time you've made it into the Platinum League, and as Nathan was saying, the 14 different zones that we race with, well, that makes up pretty close today to 6,000 different racers over about 1,000 different teams. So the teams that make it into Platinum League, they go through some real trials and tribulations to get there. You don't just show up. It's all based on what you did last week. Like I think we're going to see later, 2024 is back as they were able to requalify after taking a little bit of time off after ZRL, the Zwift Racing League. Season 2 raced up. They race in the premieres, but I think they want to sharpen their sword, and we'll see if we do have. I'm expecting to see them out here today. But speaking of what we have in front of us, Crush Pod. I love this team. There's a great energy with this squad, and this is going to be Strasser that we're looking at now. They've got this pretty well figured out right now, rolling like a professional unit here. Let's see, and that is, again, that's the team that had that fastest check. They're just about to the second check right now, as we'll see what that looks like as we fill in the rest of the times from time check 1 out here. And that's coming in at, let's see here. Well, 11:42 is the benchmark time.
Yeah, and Crush Pod with Joe Graham, Joanne Ernst, it's going to be Caroline Strauber, Kate Lascelles, and Weiss De Jong that I have registered over on Zwift Power for them, hammering away. Again, very represent a lot of different nations with them. We also have still Heilit there, all coming out of Sweden, it looks like, amongst this team. So, Olivia then also out of the UK. So great, solid team that's been showing up week in and week out. They did hit the scene just a few months back, and it was great to see them doing so well. I believe they use now you made it wasn't a velociraptor, but their poster every week I think is a dinosaur that you had a great. You went and found the exact name of what that dinosaur was, so that was representing their team mascot.
You're not doing this to me, are you?
Well, you don't have to. I mean, I don't know what it is, so I mean,
I didn't either. That was Martin. That was completely
Martin. Martin knows what it is. So Martin
Yeah.
knows exactly what it is, and he'll probably give me a message because he has the best memory of any human being I know of.
I honestly thought you were trying to throw me a bone to make me look like the dinosaur expert, and I was like, Nathan, I have no idea what kind of dinosaur that is. Not even close. I was going to guess Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is the default dinosaur that I use for just about everything. So I did have the trifecta of seeing all 3 of them out on sand and sequoias this morning. The Brontosaurus, the Tyrannosaurus, and the pterodactyl.
Gallimimus,
There you
I'm
go.
being told. Gallimimus is what it is called. That Crush Pod is represented
Nice
by
job.
Innovation Alienettes here smashing the time. We'll get some times with the TFC Eclipse, Socks for Watts, Odd Socks, Army Cycling, and BLZR as soon as we possibly can, and the Innovation Alienettes across those times. Let's go ahead, though, and jump on in with our featured team. They are heading out of Ocean Boulevard into one of the hardest sections of the course, actually, out here today. This is this section really keeping things together. It's going to be key, I think, through here as to whether or not they're going to have a solid time and go up against those top 4 teams we're waiting for, 5 teams, waiting for on those time checks.
Yeah, this is Sarah Hunter Johnston that we're with. Sarah is a fire support team commander at, well, her background is ideal, right? A keen runner, cross-country skier, and just someone who loves getting her heart rate over 180 beats per minute. So she is in her wheelhouse out here. And we're going to have a nice chance to meet the ladies on this team. But again, we could have chosen a better squad as the Royal Army team out here representing some of the armed services, because also we have our Air Force and Navy teams. But nice place to start with Sarah Hunter Johnston.
Yeah, great
Let's
to
see what we've got.
Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was going to say, I'm wondering, how many riders are right in front of her. It looks like the whole team is still here.
Yeah, I believe we still have. We can go ahead and get a top shot here and see. Give it a little bit of a head count. Yep, all 8 ladies have made it. We do have a little bit of struggle on the back here. It looks like that is going to be Laycock here, just trying to hang on. 3.5 watts per kilogram, and that is through probably one of the tougher sections to hang on. This is going to be the S turns falls flat, and it is immediately after the dirt section out there. That gravel section give a pretty good run for your money to try and hang on, and then after that, you're looking for recovery, but it isn't very long as you do hit this 1 to 2% uphill gradient.
Yeah. All right. So, as we're going to be having a chance, Major Becky Graves having a strong ride out here today, but this is Major Angela Laycock that we're with here, officer commanding the 502 Specialist Team Royal Engineers. You can see how diverse this group is too. The Force Protection Engineering is what they're all about. She'd certainly be my person I'd have drawing up the scheduling for us out here. She's got a great brain for that, and has qualified and raced in 2 World Cup races on the mountain bike. Nathan, something that I'm sure you can really respect. You don't show up and line up at a World Cup without. I'm wondering if that was up at Fort William in Scotland, or
That's a great
that's a
question. And I
decent
think you can
guess.
see the
Yeah.
mountain bike in the. Is that a mountain? That's the mountain bike in the background, perhaps too. Actually, there's a downhill helmet though on that bike.
Well,
I'm
and
looking. How big hit of
yeah,
a bike is that? I'm wondering. I'm looking at that's cross country. I think that looks a little
it is
bit.
cross country. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cross country set. But I mean, I'm wondering if she's on what kind of bike she's hammering on right now as well. It does look like maybe something similar where the well
You
maybe
know what that
go ahead, Dave.
that helmet is enduro. So she also races enduro, which makes sense. So she is a very valuable part of this team, brings a lot of in real life experience to the squad, which does make a difference, no doubt about it. So that again is Angela Laycock that we have a chance to check in with here.
Hammer,
I
nice
should
job by
note,
her.
yeah, so I really appreciate the effort that the entire team made to help us here. And I did want to shout out the Army Cycling Union as they're partnered with the SSAFA, the Armed Forces Charity. So you're going to see a lot of riders out there in that jersey here today. The SSAFA is a tri-service charity. They exist to relieve suffering and distress amongst armed forces veterans and their families. And obviously, there's just way too much of that. And these folks who give so much. I mean, the same thing would apply, I think, in any country that you're in around the world. But these are the folks that allow us to enjoy Thursdays riding on Zwift and being together because we're all safe and sound. So we want to support their independence and their dignity. And that is a great way to do it with that tri-service charity. So we've known Bexy Dew for a while. She's been very active in the Zwift community, a really super person. And oh, good. Thanks, Nathan. I don't know if I was looking down for a moment. I don't know if you queued that up for me, but I am a huge fan. You know, Lionel Viassen is known for his Robert Gilbert. Well, she's got no jump on, no pun intended, on Bexy, who is the mom to a baby rabbit, George. I don't know if you saw that picture. George is a big but loving rabbit. That is for sure. I've seen George is known on Insta. You'll see him out there. And he certainly, Bexy has got just one of these super achiever type people. She's a road racer. She rides on the St. Piran women's team and e-races for Canyon Esports. That's where we see her a lot of the time. It's cool that WTRL is able to bring something like the Royal Army team here. She's got national road race experience, is been a champion of the WTTA Hill Climb Series. That's really prestigious. That's her forte for sure. And she's her partner is James Bevan, who we know quite well. So she's absolutely part of our family here in Zwift Community Live.
Yeah, Bexy Dew, really well known, and I think they also take on a lot of hill climb championships actually in the UK. Her and James, well known sprinter. I think Bexy, one of the both of them really taking on the esports world. I think together and seeing a huge opportunity there. They've been stars amongst it as of recently in the last year. It's been really cool to see them shining out here. So Do here now making her way toward the front. It looks like going to be her turn as they head into the volcano here for the Army cycling women. See if we can get some updates on the times and see how they're doing up against that BLZR team who is trying to chase them down. It does look like they are catching Sox Watts ahead of them. I think they're having a good race out here today, though, as BLZR are 138 back. So I think Army Cycling
Ooh,
killing it out here today. You see a little communication. Did you see that communication just now
yeah.
on the phone? And it looks like Discord is on the device in front of her, letting them know what she's up to exactly. Wow, look at the
Yeah, and
concentration
Bexy
on the face here from Bexy.
locked and loaded. Absolutely, Nathan. And she would be a great team captain to have as well. A lot of the teams do have a director. I'm not sure what they are doing there with Army. I'm going to guess that they do, to tell you the truth, because you can see the communication is quick, simple, exactly the way it should be. This is the ride of a lifetime. A hyper motivated squad as she gets up and out of the saddle. All right. Well,
And they
that's
got
your
to make their way
cocktail
through. Look
napkin
at the
with an outboard
communication.
motor.
You see the communication
Yeah,
as they
they got
make
to
their way
power
through
through.
another team. Yep, and I bet you and that always happens on Discord. It's like, all right, guys, we got to make it through, push through. You just got to hold on at this point because you got to
They
get
did it.
everyone through. It looks like maybe
What?
one or two. Laycock trying to get on through. It looks like here, and it looks like
They've
also
done it.
Graves. And it does look like they have done it. Nice job by the ladies here.
You know, I have to think this is the winning ride that we're looking at. These two will get right back on here. Just a little bit of a sticky situation there. That wasn't lack of watts, as we said. The dynamics of trying to pass it. This is a full squad that they were working through a team that had quite a few riders as well. We're in with Army Cycling Women. They're at 20.2K into a 28K lap around Watopia's waistband. This team is doing a phenomenal job. Well, we chose the right team to be in with here today. We've been meeting the riders on the squad. Nathan, Army Cycling Women are en fuego. They're certainly making the most of their moment in the sunshine. I know that these women have a lot of folks around them that appreciate them, and I think you can put us squarely in the middle of that group, Nathan. These are some very cool women that are really racing their legs
Yeah,
off out here today.
I was thinking that Becky Graves here was struggling a little bit to hang on, but then she went ahead and went right to the
Yeah.
front and took a pole immediately after I thought she was falling off. She's currently an officer commanding OC 102 military working dog squadron at 1 MWD Regent. Her participation in Army E-Racing Series this year caught the eye of her team management. She is one of the newest members of this squad, actually. Endurance athlete, runner at heart. She competed in half and full distance triathlons, trail marathons, finished 10th female at the Patagon Men X Tri. So quite an athlete here, as you can see, and absolutely hammered. You can see why she was able to take that pole toward the front. So, it sounds like for cycling racing, Zwift only for cycling, but obviously triathlon has quite the palmares as well as in running.
What a cool job to work with dogs in the Army as well. It sounds like a really fun life, that's for sure.
Yeah, very cool,
Cycling,
very cool.
swimming, running, and dogs. That's not a bad mix. I see that they take a rucksack, a backpack with them. The dog, their terrier, will do as much as possible and then just pop them in the bag if gets a little too tired. And happy with that.
We also got
Some of
Harris
these riders
here
wish that
hanging on at the
some of these
back here at
riders.
this block. I think Laycock here. Oh no, they're keeping it together here, Dave. I thought maybe the matchbox was going to get burned a little bit, but it looks like they've got quite all the riders still. They got to get back on terms. I'll see if I can get a live shot of how Hunter's trying to do this here
No,
with a couple of the other riders because they can't wait at this point. I don't think we're in the back end of the race.
yeah, I would agree. So we're coming up on 6K to go. Now, I'll be interested to see what that last split looks like because if they've got, oh gosh, I don't, if they had more than 30 seconds on the second place team, I might be inclined to wait up for a second or two to keep the whole team together here just for the, what would be the morale for the squad. To keep everybody together. But I think now, I mean, if it's under 30 seconds, you really can't play around at all. And I would say just soldier on to the ladies. Now, we mentioned this at the top of the show, but if you're just joining us here, teams start with a maximum of 8 riders. Time taken off of the fourth, and that split right down the middle here. These are 3 riders. They might just get back on here, Nathan. This will be interesting to see how Army wants to roll this.
Yeah, the clock here is also going to be Johnson, as we saw just a moment ago. Jenny Hill as well. You can see, look at the suffering on Jenny's face. She is really
They're not
giving it
throwing
at
in the
this
towel.
point. No, it's 165 beats per minute currently coming from Jenny. It looks like they are going to let it go. 5 seconds up at this point. You can see now exactly what this kind of effort looks like, though. It is so intense.
It's not
And
pretty, is
they're going to
it?
finish it up. They're going to get their workout, it looks like, out here today. But it looks like the rest of the armor cycle women, they're going to soldier on and they're going to make it happen, it looks like, to try and get that best time.
This is why so many people love the WTRL, because you can't dig this deep when you're just out riding by yourself. There's something about the phenomenon of being a part of a team time trial effort that brings out the very, very best in people. And certainly that's what we're witnessing there from, is this Hill that we have on screen? Or are we in with Harris now?
We were in with Hill.
Apologize,
They did
Nathan.
just get dropped off, and now we are in with Harris. This is going to be Harris who's hammering away for us as she just took a pull to the front. 179 beats per minute. Looks fairly calm, actually, though, with that IR rate. Now 180. She's got the
Pretty
window open
composed.
next to her. Hopefully,
Yeah.
a pretty big fan on her left, I would hope. As on her right, the window's open and keeping her cool.
Yeah, I have to say, this is a rider obviously has in real life experience as well. When you look at that position on the bike, that's not someone who learned how to ride on Zwift. That's someone who learned how to ride on the road. Look at that beautiful shape and the very nice pedal stroke that we're looking at here. Well, they're all in. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be really interesting to see how close. I mean, we were expecting, again, this course should have three teams within 20 seconds of each other at the finish. I was wondering, now this is Major Elizabeth Jane Harris that we're with, known as EJ, a medical officer at the Frimley Park Hospital in the Department for Obstetrics and Gynecology. She's raced for the Army before, been on the semi-pro circuit of the UCI World. Well, there you go. Obviously, this is a super experienced rider and has raced with Story Racing. We've talked about Sarah Story, who has been out here with us in the WTRL as well. So she was crowned Army and Tri-Service Sportswoman of the Year in 2017. So Elizabeth Jane Harris, EJ, is a legend and obviously a cornerstone of the squad, Nathan, doing a really good job out here.
Yeah, absolutely flying, it looks like. And, EJ, it sounds like, only got back on the bike in March of 2021 after spending a year working nonstop on the front line to fight against COVID. So big shout out to her supporting hospitals and COVID patients. She's extremely experienced rider with great insight, many lessons to offer, obviously, from what we saw with that semi-pro UCI Worlds. And, I can relate to her a little bit. Her weakness is popcorn. And I have to say, I ride for popcorn. I ride for a gigantic bowl of popcorn and some butter. And I don't know if it's a weakness. It's got a lot of carbs. Maybe that's a little bit of a
That's
good
not a
carb loading.
weakness.
No,
Yeah,
maybe the weakness when you're
it's
trying
well
to
earned.
cut a couple, but well earned. As you can see, she's earning it out here today in the TTT. We are waiting for the splits to come on through. Apologies, everybody. Our data did struggle a little bit as some of our newer data sets here are not coming through. So some of the backup with ZP we are waiting on to come on through with Zwift Power here. Now Wild to the front looks like 4.5 watts per kilogram coming from Rose as she takes on the last couple of kilometers of this race for Army Cycling.
Well, good. So as we take a look, they're down to about 3K left. So it's going to be right around 4 minutes and a little change before this one is put paid for the Army women out here. And we've had a chance to check in with just about everyone. I am looking as this team really brought their A game. Captain Rosie Wild is fire support team commander. So there's a few of the fire support team that we have here, and was the first female ever to pass the all arms parachute pre-selection course. Nathan, that sounds like something that would be a good challenge for you, to tell you the truth. But absolutely has built up an incredible stamina for running and triathlon, thrives on the endurance events. And she actually, like our friend Christy Tracy, she'd rather be out there for 12 or 24 hours. That's a amazing endurance athlete. But she basically has taken up residence in the Hurt Locker. That's where she lives.
Yeah, and what I from Rose Wild early on, she was singing for the team. It looked like I mean, it was absolutely
I wonder
awesome
what
to
she was
see.
singing. Do you think it was Spice Girls, or if they moved on from Spice Girls? Do you think?
I'm not sure. That was like was that 20 years ago, Dave? Maybe we've moved on. I don't know if anyone ever moves on though from some of that older school.
No,
Uh,
that's what you call an earworm, right? That sticks with you
Always
sometimes
with
on
you.
some. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%
Well,
get that. So now looking through here, this is going to be Bexy Do now trying to take a pull toward the front, and then it's going to be Rose Wild again. A little bit of a kick. Looks like her and Bexy taking the final pulls, maybe to the line. And it's great to see how these ladies are, and a little bit of more communication here. Great to see how they really have taken on that Discord server. The reality of online communication to make sure everybody's taking polls, and I mean that goes to show how incredibly important it is to try and get some of the best times out here today.
boy, Nathan, have we ever had a team that just across the board is more impressive or qualified human beings than this team? I have to say, Army Cycling Women, this was really, really cool to get to know you today. This is one of my favorite things about Zwift community are the people, obviously. That's what makes this all so special. And this team will stand out to me. Right, and they're down to 1K to go. You're gonna have to help me, Nathan, on who Minty is. Sometimes those nicknames
Yeah, that's a
don't
great question.
translate.
That's a great question,
Okay.
actually. And looking through some of our info shared across here, maybe we'll get an idea of who
You
Minty
know,
is. But
maybe Chris Murray, Lieutenant Colonel Chris Murray? I am trying to crack the code here, but either way, you can see the effort now. This one's getting to that point where the business end has arrived. Half a K to go, ladies. Now, unfortunately, as we said, we don't have the up-to-date checks here. I have to think they're feeling pretty good about this effort. All the data that I can scrounge up tells me that they're on a solid performance today. This should be good for gold.
yeah, absolutely flying. Here's the ladies. There's the view of all of them
What a
across the
team.
line. Really, really hammering now, as you can see. Absolutely loving it. I want to get a little bit of the view here as they, all of them look at just down on the handlebars. A few of them get the trash cans ready. I mean, this was quite an effort here coming in from
Like,
Army Cycling, trying to take down that BLZR team. I think BLZR though, they were right on their heels out there today. And we'll have to wait and see how this ends up playing out. But great job from, I mean, look, look at Chris Murray in the upper left-hand corner. Just
I'm
can
looking at
barely
EJ.
even move at this point. EJ there, super calm and breathing, waiting for the popcorn. The movies, I mean, absolutely loving what these ladies have brought to the table today. But this is BLZR in the chase. Not sure they've done it actually. Oh, I think it's going to be a little bit over a minute. So I think Army Cycling, they've had quite the ride out here today.
And this is a team I hope that we have a chance to do the same thing with, Nathan, because a super strong squad that we're in with here now. And you're going to see BLZR back on top of the podium again here, but they're down to it just a little over 1K to go. But I think they might have left it late.
Yeah, well, I believe this little extra effort toward the end, maybe not going to be able to pull it off here for the BLZR team. It looks like Pearson here now dropping off to the back here, level to the front. Anderson, Bevan. Now, I do see some comments coming through about checking in with other riders. Make sure that when you do get your invite to the Platinum, we do like to make all the effort we can. A lot of effort goes in from these teams to get into the feature, and we love to share all that we can about those who are powering the avatars. The stories behind the avatars are so incredibly important to us here in the community for Zwift Community Live. So be on the watch out for our feature for next week. If you do qualify in the Platinum League, we like to feature as many teams as we can. So it doesn't have to just be one team. If you do get a feature spotlight, make sure to respond to that email, and we'll feature between 2 to 4 teams between the men's and the women's side of the racing. So be on the watch out for that, and we will most definitely show off as much as we can about what is happening behind these avatars. Anderson, Price, Pearson, Bevan, and Lovell across the line. We're taking a look at the results in just a few moments here and see how things have played out. But Dave, How cool was that? I mean, that was I always love getting the live images. It's really where it's at because uh the stories behind each and every one of these athletes is so incredibly to watch, and how these teams have come together to put these efforts on for us day in and day out.
Yeah, you really get the impact to the magnitude of the effort that the riders are making. And just to echo your points, Nathan, the Army women did a really good job of communicating with us and helping us tell your story is so much more fun for everyone. So, yeah, today really stood out for not the greatest data day that we've ever had, but one of the best days of storytelling. And that's going to be fun looking forward. So, yeah, pretty straight ahead, 28K. But you can see that for all of these teams, the challenge of how you team time trials. We've said a lot of times it's not an exercise contest. If that was the case, this would be so simple. But man, your brain really comes into play. And I don't know how you would really rate that, but your ability to focus amongst a group of other people focusing outside of being in a squadron of jet pilots or something, Nathan, or fighter pilots. I don't know too many people that do something like this with other folks, right? I mean, there's a lot of communication and precision and technique. It's the very highest level out here in the WTRL.
It definitely is. And speaking of the highest level, let's go ahead and take a quick look across the categories. We'll start with the men's racing. We did follow the frappe for the men this week. We saw a little bit of preliminary for the results, but let's go ahead and see how things played out across all of the categories. So it does look like at the top of the board for Premier, the Euro Aliens again, our man Barnesy and team, they're getting it done. It looks like, oh, what is happening? And we've got some interesting data coming on through. I've never seen.
Wow.
These are
Is that in Welsh?
I'm not sure what that is. That's an interesting, very.
I think that's a
White
Led
Wacko.
Zeppelin
What is?
song. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give a wait here on that one. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I'm gonna see if I can get a an update here on. I would love to see what chat is saying about that one and what is happening. Let's see real quickly if I can get an idea of. Well, it looks like we've got an update.
Look at the waterfall, folks. Look at that
We'll just
beautiful
hang out.
waterfall.
Beautiful Watopia waterfall. One of the latest updates into Zwift when they added the Aztec area. And actually, there's an update for some mountain bike course that goes through a little bit of a cutoff over there. So let's go ahead and see if we can get an update here again. I think we should be fine now. And Dave,
There
go
we
ahead,
go.
take it away for our dopios.
Hey, thanks, Nathan. So it was INC Euro Aliens just crushing it. And you can see this one was a dandy. They'll take the gold in the Platinum League. Cryogen RDT Vultures, who've been a phenomenal squad, are only 3 seconds back for silver. Kirkmeyer Espresso 1 taking the bronze medal, only 11 seconds back. So there you have it. 3 teams within 15, making 11 seconds of each other on the top of the table. It's the BL13 Bullets in for 4th. Evil Warriors here for Adopios in 5th. It is Z-Sun R Red Giants within a minute in 6th on the Rivet Blur. They're at 105 back for 7th. And Team Italy Amontante is your 8th place squad today. That's a good look at your top 8 teams here on WTRL's week number 102.
And at the top of the other, on the men's side of things, Army Cycling show up on the day and take that down in the Espressos as well with a 34:44, very fast time. Evo Espresso come on through 35:36, and then it's going to be the Innovation in the Express at 35:39 for 3rd place. It is Cryogen Goals coming out of Zone 6 with that 35:44 tied, but it is going to be just a little bit. What is that? 2/10, a little over 2/10 of a second there with the Cryogen Kestrels. They're, wow, brothers team here. Cool to see. Rowan King Lions. Then it's also with the 35:45. Again, 1 second difference here. As we got the data interesting again. I might leave the results for later. I have a feeling. Oh, there we go. Okay. Maybe it's just going to, I mean, I think there's some sort of a language issue. April Fools. I'm being told it's April Fools. All right, that's what's happening here. Is we're being messed with. Is what's happening out here today with Martin. As
I'm going to try to
Go ahead,
I'm
Dave.
going to try to forward you something that I just got from Faye Faber that will crack you up with a Welsh town name that's pretty close to what we're looking at there.
Amy Wheelie Weeding this. Am I really weeding? Okay, I see. In 5th place, am I really weeding this? Thank you so much. I really appreciate the April Fools. Is this actually, this is April Fool. He's messing with, I'm supposed to try and read these. Pant White Waco. Oh my God.
I'm scared.
All right. Me too, because what am I going to end up saying is what I'm wondering. Number 7
Yeah,
is
you can
Jack
paint
Azir
yourself
coming
right
on
into
through.
a corner.
Yeah. Like what if Martin brings me through and I don't know if we just get taken off air permanently, just ban the channel. Number 8 comes through Rap Cycling 1. Then it's going to be Dirt Diggler in 9th. And then TSZ Waffles, the Swedish team, coming on through for 10th in the Espressos for the men.
Yeah, you got to stay on your toes on April Fool's Day, that's for sure. Dirt Time Chasers BC in the house for our Frappe Platinum League Gold Standard. Way to go, Dirt Time Chasers BC. Taking the win. Kirkmeyer Frappe 1 for silver. Cryogen Ravens. Look how close it was again here. 13 seconds back for the bronze medal. Z. Scott Kelpies, they put up a great fight today. So they came in seated 10th. They finished 4th. I'd call that a success. Way to go, Z. Scott. In 5th, it's Evo Vortex 2. Team CLS. The B-52s for 6th today. Look how this stacks up, Nathan, here. That's awesome, isn't it? These teams are all in the exact right league at the right time, racing against the right other teams. Have fun with this next few weeks of racing, folks. So I just said 6 was Team CLS, the B-52s. TSC Damsugar in 7th. Evo Vortex 1 in 8th. Z-Sun R Saturn in 9th. And the Garage Pain Chasers round out our top 10. They're only 48 seconds back. Nathan, I would almost say that's like your perfect results page right there. That just tells me it was competitive. All these riders were in for the fight. You never know who's going to win next week. That is the way I love it.
Yeah, 48-second difference. Amazing job by this crew. TSZ Rocky Road coming on in 38.49 with the win in the lattes for the men. 2 guys not of there, 38.57. Valhalla Zalahorn there in 3rd, followed up by Cryogen Piwakawakas. And then it's going to be NCTC Suffolk Punch, TFC Horner in 6th, Team ODZ Destroyers of Cookies in 7th, TFC Spitfire in 8th, Vikings Jagersal in 9th, and it's going to be the TFC Lancaster rounding out your top 10. The battle between 2 guys and TSG at the top, that was won by the Swedish team, the Rocky Roads. And then it's the Mochas here, Dave.
And I know Nathan loves seeing the Rhinos do well. So do I. RR Black Rhinos, they get it done another week here as the Mocha champions with the 42.56. They're going to finish inside of 19 seconds faster than SERPK. It's the other one of the other Rhinos team, the Sumatra Rhinos, taking the bronze medal today. Great day for Rhinos. TBR Renegades in 4th, TFC Hurricane in 5th, Z-Sun Nebula. Look how close that was there between 6th and 7th. Just a few tenths of a second there as Team Type 1, the A1Cs in 7th. Spooky Blokes in 8th. Valhalla Dragvandil in 9th. And TBR, that's the big ring, M8, rounds out our top 10 in the Platinum League today for the Mochas.
And let's go ahead and jump on in at the top of the Viennas. Is that going to be TSZ Cake Pops taking it down? Seesaw race like a girl for 2nd. Those Cake Pops, they have shown up and shown us that they are somebody. Wow. I mean, usually we do show the top end of the Viennas, and that looks like quite the battle that played out here between these riders. Doxwatero Unicorns, Cryo RDT Wrens, that's going to be Viking Valkyrie, TSZ Cinnamon Rolls, and BRT Atomic Kittens. That's the current situation for the zones that are in for the Viennas. I'm going to just double check here. Did we not have the WRT team maybe taking a break, getting ready for season 3 of the ZRL?
2024 as well. Yeah, I guess that was my guess anyways, is that with season 3 starting on Tuesday, the teams must be giving their riders a little bit of a chance to reload for the 3rd season.
Okay, yeah, and I am being told that this is correct. That correcty from Martin. Yeah, that they are on break here, getting ready for the ZRL. So, and that's a good. I mean, that's a good call. I think there's a lot on the line with
It's a long
season
season.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, very very long season. Go ahead, Dave. Frappes, and this is what we looked at, and it was the Alienettes. Oh, it was close racing.
Wow. Yeah, it was under 8
God.
seconds. All right.
All you, Dave. All you.
So this team is vague. Wait, taking the win. I can't even do the silver medal one. I'm now, yeah, thank you, Martin. INC Alienettes taking the win. Army Cycling Women in Vienna Frappe here taking second. So the Alienettes getting it done. Congratulations, INC. TSC Eclipse for the bronze medal. BLZR, they'll be back there in fourth here today. Crush Pod for fifth. Socks for Watts, the Odd Socks in sixth. Evo Comets in seventh. Angular Power in eighth. WTRL What's Up 2 in ninth, and then Kirkmeyer Magnolia rounds out our top 10 for Vienna Frappe.
And now on over to
Martin's
Vienna
making me
Frappe.
nervous. Yep.
Well, I mean, we didn't even have a heads up about it at all, which is good on him that he got us. He got us, that's for sure.
That's
Socks
the way
for
you do it.
Watts
You don't give a heads
wins.
up on an April Fool's
April
joke, do you?
Fools.
Right.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Socks for Watts, Watt Nuts, 42-11. RWBSH coming on through for second, and then it's going to be Crash Pods in Crash Pod 2, 42-46. Cycloholics coming on through for fourth. It's going to be Angler Velocity and Spitz. Vikings Idon, followed up by Z-Sun Burson. Then TFC Blackbirds, GSH Gold, and Renegade. Rounding out the top 10 in the ladies for Vienna Lattes. And then in Vienna, at the top is the Giant.
Yeah, there you go. Giant Camden, Mad Jalapenos at 44 flat, 3 seconds quicker than Fearsome, who took silver. Socks for Watts, Triceratops taking the bronze medal. Then you've got two of our Drafting Dinos teams. It's WTRL Drafting Dinos UK 1 in fourth, UK 2 in fifth. And let's see, they were only 6 seconds apart there. So interchangeable pieces, I would think. TSC Semla in sixth. Angular Momentum for seventh today. Live by Cycling Gold in our Vienna class was eighth. Tugas Sonos in ninth. And then Angular Speed in 10th here on week number 102. Great racing by all.
And it looks like we are into the TTT 103 Harrogate Circuit Reverse for 2 laps. Oh my goodness. That is going to be quite the team time trial. That's a lot. Very different. I mean, from we're going from Watopia Waistband to nothing but punchy Harrogate Circuit. That one's going to hurt. It's going to be a good TTT, though.
It'll be so hard to keep the team together out there. This will be a real test. It'll have them at their limit.
100% super limit here. 7 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central time. Next Wednesday is when registration closes. Make sure to go and sign up your team over at WTRL.racing. Still zones to go throughout the day. So if you are looking to watch some racing, there's always the Twitch streams happening over on twitch.tv/GoZwift category, everybody. That is the place to go if you do want to go and check out any of the live streams that are going on throughout the day for the rest of the zones. Been a great day. I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Army Cycling for their features and providing us with a lot of background. What an awesome team that is, as well as all the racers out there. Reminder that the features are going to be in those emails again, so make sure you check your emails if you qualified for Platinum League. ZRL Season 3 starting next week, Tuesday, Dave. We're going to have a lot of broadcasts both on Zwift Live and Zwift Community Live throughout the day featuring everybody. So pretty awesome to see that ZRL Season 3 is just on the cusp, and I think a lot of teams are getting ready.
Yeah, I'm as amped as anyone, ready to go. Let's get it on, as they say. But yeah, another great day of racing to the 6,000 racers out there. You are awesome. Keep it up, and I'll look forward to seeing everyone back out here next Thursday.
Yeah, thanks everybody for riding. Thanks for racing. Great job to all the racers as always. Now, as always, everybody, ride on.
you.